Hey there, folks. We're back in Scratch, and so I want to continue on my Asteroids game. I had a set of things I was going to do, and now I find myself in my computer lab again, doing some stuff for school, even though we're on lockdown or COVID-19 and all that stuff. And so I don't recall what was planning on doing. So I'm just going to take a look and see what we've got here on our ship. So what I'm going to try to do now is find some good resources for creating a set of asteroids. So the first thing I want to do is get an asteroid. And so I'm going to go ahead and click choose a sprite, and I'm just going to type rock. We got rocks here. And what I want to do is look at the costumes for the rock. And it's one rock. So this, oh, interesting. If you look here, there are two separate rocks. And if I do a little modification to it, this could be like asteroids. It's not asteroids come in many different sizes and shapes. And so what if I have these rocks and I have two different rocks? So can I duplicate this? I sure can. So in my duplicate, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to move this one up here. Oh, isn't that nice? And by the way, that's because these are vector graphics. It's like clip art. And what I want to do is if you look here, oh, wow. Okay, let me just change that. Let me just select all of this stuff. You notice right there is the center. That is like the origin, and you can just snap it right to the center of that. So we've got this rock here. That's a good medium-sized asteroid, and this is a good large-sized asteroid. And sure, it's got a flat bottom to it. I wonder, I bet, yes, we can. Okay, so check this out. I think I can go in here. Oh, I can. And I can take this and I can move this around. Now I'm doing this because I know this is a vector graphic. And this is not doing what I was. I get it. I get it. So part of this, yeah. So I see what's going on here. We kind of have the outline there. So you could go in and you can make some edits here. This is what they call a vector graphic. So there are bitmap and vector graphics. And so this brings me to my first phrase that pays. So if you are one of my students, one of the ways you get credit for having watched the video, whether you complete the activity or not, you still can get credit for watching by reciting back to me those phrases that pay. So I'm going to do a phrase that pays. It's the difference between a bitmap and a vector graphic. Okay. So vector graphic is resolution immune. In other words, we can make it bigger, smaller. It won't affect the way it looks. And that's because they are made out of mathematical curves, lines, and fills. They're defined mathematically, which that means since they're defined mathematically, your screen can redraw it at any size and it doesn't change anything. So that's what the vector graphic is, and then I'll explain what the bitmap graphic is, and I'm going to put these both right here side by side so you can compare the difference. A bitmap graphic is basically a grid of pixels, rows and columns. Okay? And so each one has a color, has one color. Okay? They are resolution dependent. And I don't know if I spelled dependent right or not. But the reason why they're resolution dependent is they lose quality if they are resized. Okay, so it's just like taking a bunch of squares and make them bigger. They're going to look like bigger squares. Make them smaller, you're going to lose some of that quality. There's just no getting around it with bitmap graphic. Now there's techniques you can do to make them better or whatever. But I just want you to know the difference between a vector graphic and a bitmap graphic. So let's go ahead and do those. Those are our first two phrases that phases. Yeah. Okay, fine. So anyway, what you're seeing here is I'm modifying these curves to make them a little more asteroidal, if that is an actual term. So that when I go to resize them, if I do like 10, it's really tiny on the screen. And if I put like 900, notice there's just no lack of quality. It just looks just as sharp, all those lines. And so that's what we mean by resolution independent. All right, so there's one of our rocks, and that is going to be large. And then here we go, we're going to do the small one, and we can add some little detail here, maybe make it more jagged here or there. And there you go. It looks like you can sort of click part of it, and then you can move it around. And now I'm just grabbing this stuff here and just moving it a little bit. There you go. So there's a little bit, and I can just like take one of these, Control C, Control V, copy paste, move it around a little bit. Should be a way I can rotate that. I think I have to do it with this one, yeah. And I can rotate it around. So you can just fiddle around with the vector graphics. These tools are good for vector graphics. I would focus on these two tools. You can create lines. You can create little shapes, circles and squares. You can like here's an example. You just draw a square, for example. And then you grab this, or you even grab here, and you can modify part of that. Or you can click here, and you can add these points. So you see how this is kind of how the vector graphics work. So this is like the pen tool, if they call it reshape. You click on a line, it actually adds a pen there. So there's interesting pictures you can draw. At this point, I'm not too worried about all of this. I'm going to go to this size, and I'm going to make it like 80. And that's going to be like the medium size rock, and that'll be the large size rock. Okay, so we've got rocks. All right, now we've got our ship. We got at least one rock here. The question is, I wonder, can I duplicate this rock? Let me see if I can find it, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, it looks like this is the article I'm looking for. Spawning and collecting pickup objects. I was trying to read all this stuff, and I was a little confused until I got to right here. There is create a clone of myself. And you have these different locations. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create some clones. And this is going to be good because anytime the asteroid gets hit by a bullet, it could create two clones of itself. And though that could cause some problems, but we'll get into that in a moment. Let's just go ahead and try this thing out. Okay, so let's say I'm going to want some asteroids in various locations. I would love to make this be a thing that automatically creates a variety of clones. So I'm going to go to my code, and I'm going to have this, and it's going to create some clones of itself. And I feel like, well, let's go ahead and start with our first event when the mouse thing is clicked. First of all, I am going to make sure I do some things like I want it maybe to appear here or a random location somewhere around here. So I click on this, and I'm going to go to motion. We're going to have this go to. There is a random position. So I'm going to go to a random position, and right there, let's do a random between here and where is its location. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. So if I click on motion and I do a go to 158. Oh, it's not setting it. I thought there was a way I could do this. Costumes, code, 158.78. Well, let's try play. So yeah, now it's sending it over here. Well, okay, whatever. I can move. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so we're giving some random positions. So let's just go back to what I said I was going to do. X of 208 is the maximum, and let's say between 100 and 200. So we're going to go to random. So we need some random number generator. So that's going to be under, what is it, data? There's no data. Operators. Pick a random number. All right. And what I say, 100 to 200. And then a y of another random position. Now, where's the y going to be? It could be as far down as here, which is negative 151, or maybe up to about here. So how about a negative 60 to negative 150? And then we're going to click create. Go, 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 go. All right, see what's happening? Random positions. Cool. All right. I like it. I like it. And then what if I feel like we should do something where you're going to want to randomly populate them, but let's just do a couple other things. We're going to go to motion. We're going to do some other, we're going to do a direction. Yes. Okay. So I love the idea of going to a random direction. So we're going to pick another random number, basically 0 to 360. Actually, 360 is the same as 0. So how about 1 to 360? So now when I do it, each time it's in a different direction. And then, of course, I'm going to want it to start moving in that direction. And what's cool about this is that, actually, you know what I'm thinking? What if we like create all of our random asteroids and then start them moving? Like maybe they're hidden and then they appear and start going. Okay, that sounds good. All right, let's do a little phrase that pays at this point. Um, so actually, no, let me get this set up first, and then let's do this. Let's do a repeat. How many asteroids do we want? So let's do this. Let's for when it's clicked. What if we create a clone of ourselves? Where was there it is, create clone of myself. Yeah, we go to random location. Oh, but then we're always going to do this. Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about because we could do this corner, that corner, that corner, that corner, but if we do this 10 times, we'll just watch what happens. Well, that's kind of cool. We could, what if we do, let me think about this. I'm going to come up with a plan. Hold on a second. Okay, I have it. So this is also the phrase at page number 3. I really wanted to think about that. The phrase number 3, the technique we're going to do here is an algorithm I've decided upon where we're going to basically, we want to place the asteroid in any of the corners, but we don't want them in the center region. So we're going to repeat 10 times for 10 asteroids. And then each time we're going to basically say, while we're in the center of the grid, choose a random location. So what I could do is I could set random location. And then while in the center of the grid, we're gonna set random location. So basically, we're gonna set it and then we're gonna check it. Okay, so this sets it, this checks it. What's the center of the grid? Okay, so let's take a look at basically where is the center of the grid. I'm going to take this, I'm going to give it some space. So right now we've kind of put it here. And let me just set this. What do we set that to? Let's go back to the rocks. So 100 to 200. So okay, so so this would be an x of let's do 100. So that's an x of 100, and that's an x of negative 100. So the absolute value of x needs to be greater than 100. Okay, so as long as it's the absolute value is less than 100, we're going to keep choosing random locations. Now the y, what do we do with the y again? Negative 60, positive to negative. So we're going to say we're going to do that. Okay. So we're going to do this. Set random location, center of the grid, um, absolute. Let's do this. Let's just do this, and then I'll be my phrase that pays number 4. All right. So we're going to do a while, repeat until. That's kind of the while loop. Okay, so we're going to repeat until the x position and y position, their absolute value. Please have absolute in here. Yes! Is repeat until it's greater than. Interesting. Okay, absolute value, and we're going to duplicate. And then we're going to duplicate. Okay. Repeat until, and then we need an and. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to say we got to go until the absolute value of the x position is greater than 100. So that means anywhere between 0. No. No, get in there. Nah. Get out. All right. One more time. Okay. Oh, no, just, there. Holy cow, this is huge. All right. Yeah. And the absolute value of the y position is greater than 60. That is one big Herkin setup. So now I'm going to pick, well, we're going to have to do negative, what do we say, 200 to 200. Let's take one of these up here, y negative. Hello. Negative. Oh, 100, I guess it's what, 160 to negative 160? Something like that. So I'm going to take this out. We're going to go to here. Negative, what did I say that was again? Negative 150 to 150. And then we're going to duplicate that. Stick one in here. There may be a better way to do it. You know what I could do? I'm going to start by going to 0, 0. And then I'm also on looks, we're going to hide. Hide at the beginning. And show. Okay. Could that be? All right, let's get rid of the show. I probably have to do this each time. Huh, interesting. Interesting. Okay, let's see. What events are there? When spawned? Let's try it again. Huh. Maybe what we want to do is broadcast. Do we have a broadcast in here? When I receive start. That's it. When I receive start, we show. I think that's what we need to do. Let's do that event. When I receive start, show. Don't like to see them moving. Maybe this is where I want to broadcast the show. Broadcast start. I'm going to keep working on this until something happens. Broadcast start. Oh, look at that. There it is. Cool. All right. All right, we got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Okay. So this is what do we do? What do we do? All right. So couple things that we did here. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to hide that little dude there. Number 4. Got another phrase that pays. Okay. So this is really kind of complex to just look at. How do we get here? We want to start by hiding our asteroid. We don't want the asteroid to show, and we're going to go ahead and rename it asteroid. Okay, so we don't want this thing to show and until everything's in place. Okay, so in order to do that, we have to go through this entire algorithm, then broadcast start. We had to remove broadcast start away from the ship into the asteroid because it's going to take longer to get the asteroids in place. So we basically the asteroids broadcast start. So I'm going to add a comment. Wait to start game until the asteroids are all in place. So there you go. So now we have our little comment here, and I can hide it. There it is. So the now asteroids not the player broadcasts start because we need to wait to start the game until all the asteroids are in place. So that is our phrase that pays number 4. The asteroid, not the player, needs to broadcast start. It takes longer to do the algorithm from number 3. All right, so this is really cool. So now the next step is once we show, we're just going to start moving in a direction. So we're going to look at motion, and do we have speed? Haha, this is a time to have speed for our asteroid. And we'll call it velocity for this sprite only. We could set the velocities a little bit different too. Um, to a random number. We could do random again. Velocity. Three and five. And then we're going to move in velocity. I'm going to drag that. I'm going to go to motion. And we're going to move velocity steps. Oops, this should be a forever. So we're going to do a forever loop. Whoa! Guess what? We're having trouble when it goes off of the side. See, it's not doing that. They're all getting stuck and they're moving. That's awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. We're going to move in velocity steps, and we're going to have to use, and by the way, the velocity is way too fast. So let's do a number between 1 and 3. Let's test it out. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so now we need to do the same thing where they wrap around just like they did with our other ship. So let's go to the ship. And where's the wrap around? Wraparound mechanic. Wraparound mechanic. So that's a lot, okay? So we're going to have to try to duplicate that. Can we move that? Can I right-click, duplicate, and then move to Asteroid? I can't. I was all excited thinking I could. Dang. Oh, fine. All right, I'm going to pause the video recording while I do that. All right, to make this a little bit easier, check out what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the snipping tool, and I'm going to take a little snip of this right here. This is the wraparound mechanic, and then I'm going to go over here, and we're going to do this little dude here, like so. There, and then we're going to stretch this over here, and oh, backpack. I think maybe that's what I wanted to do. I don't know. Let's go out here just a little bit further, go to Asteroids, and it's down here, and go over here. And so the idea behind it is we're going to grab what we need. We need a series of if. I'm going to do some operators. We have a greater than. We have two greater thans. We have two, no. I'm going to have two lesser thans. Lesser than, lesser than. We're going to do the X and Y position. I'm going to put an X position in one greater than, in X position, sorry, in one lesser than, one X position in greater than, and we're going to do the same thing for Y. So we've got those. We got the if and the then, and we got the set X and set Y. So we got set X, set X, set Y, set Y. And then we need a bunch of ifs that we're just going to duplicate over and over again. If then. Okay, forever. If X position is greater than 240. Set X to 240. Move these over here, over here, over here. I forgot to duplicate the Y. And we're going to do that again. I'm sorry, duplicate the if statements. Okay, so now we can do that if Y position is greater than 180. Then we're going to set y to 180. And then we're going to go back up here, check these, move them down, get that one out. If x position is less than, what is it, negative 240, set it to 240. Oh, if it's greater than 240, it's got to be too negative. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was going to mess things up. And now we're going to say here, where was the y position? We had another y position. I'll just duplicate one from in here. If y position is less than negative 180, set it to 180. There it is. If it's greater than 180, set it to negative 180. Let's just go ahead and test this out and see if it works. Yep. Okay. So we're really close to the end. So let's just recap what we've done here. And basically, we worked on the asteroids. In the beginning, we hide the asteroid, and we create 10 asteroids by repeating 10 times. I'm going to add the comment. I noticed a couple things about the comments too. When we use the comments, we can move them around. Okay, create 10 asteroids. That's our first comment. And then make sure they're never in the center. Okay, so that's the next thing we do. And we do that by using absolute value. The absolute value gives us, let's say the x position happens to be a negative number, negative 100. Absolute value of negative 100 is 100. So whether it's negative 100, let's say it's negative 150. So if it's negative 150, absolute value of negative 150 is 150. That's still greater than 100. So we want to keep going until it is basically less than 150 or less than 100 or greater than 100. So 101, that will no longer do it. But we have to not only make sure the x is not in the center, but the y is not in the center either. And we're using 60 pixels that way. So if we stop it and start again, every time we hit start, you'll see they never appear in the center. And that gives our ship a little bit of time. Okay, so that's how we do that. Then we point in a random direction, so they're all going to be rotated, and they're all going to move forward eventually. But they're going to be randomly rotated, and then we're going to set a random velocity, 1, 2. I don't know if it will pick 3. It might just be 1 or 2. And then it's going to create a clone of itself because it's already in a position that's in the right location. And then we're going to go through and we do that over and over. Now, we had to set the x and y to 0 because we needed to make sure that we were going to trigger this. Otherwise, you know, it can mess things up and it'll put them all in the same spot or something like it. I just wanted, and I didn't want to bother with random because I know that 0 is it's gonna keep repeating until it's no longer 0 because 0 is not going to work in here. I think you get the idea. And then we broadcast start on the asteroid so the asteroid can do it. And then we forever are moving in the direction we originally set. That's what asteroids do. They don't just suddenly change direction. And then we do this. This is the wraparound mechanic. So just like in asteroids. So basically, in this video, we've completed all of our asteroids. And so that gives us 4 phrases that pay. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. Anyway, well, thank you so much for watching. I am done, and stay tuned for more.